sometimes in an earthquake, certain sections of the city may be cut off from communication. We may not be able to use the phone. We may not be able to use other landlines or basic communication. So NERD is really a big part of that. And what they do is they come in and they'll help us. They'll be our eyes, our ears on the ground, because the fire department is going to be responding to multiple high-intensity emergencies. We're going to be going to more and more like high-stress facilities, hospitals, schools, stuff like that. They're going to go out and let us know stuff that we can't see. NERD is going to be a big part of our eyes, our ears on the ground, letting us know, communicating with us. If we can't communicate with somebody, they're going to be runners for us. She'll explain all that to us. The NERD program will explain that to you. But NERD's really big. If there's a big major earthquake or fires or anything like that, NERD is going to be very important. Because the fire department's not dealing with everything. And like we said, we can like the same way here. Some of the areas might be cut off. NERD's going to do a lot of running and transporting for us for messages, communication, what's going on from one area to the next. So it's a real important thing. So if you don't know what it is and you're not involved, talk to your parents about it. It's great because you may be in a community or a neighborhood that some disaster may happen. Just little things like shutting off the gas in your neighborhood or your house is really important. Tools that you can have that one person has, they go around and shut off all the gas. So when the neighborhood gets together and they help respond together for an emergency, they can save lives, save property. So it's really important that everybody gets involved. So it's a real good thing in there. It helps the fire department out and helps the community out.
So for kids too.
Pardon me?
So for kids too.
I believe that.
Yes.
It is. Okay, yes.
Kids with parents.
Kids with parents. Yes, yes. So if we're going to get involved, everybody can help. Certainly you guys can help too. She'll explain what that is after. What we do, if there's an earthquake and emergency, one of the things that we're really worried about is like the water supply. But when there's usually earthquakes, you got a question? Or do you just raise your hand? You got a question? Oh, no. So if there's an earthquake or disaster, like in the last Lower Bureau earthquake or the earthquake that happened, we had the marina and everything, all the houses fell. We lose a lot of water lines for it. So one thing that the fire department is concerned about is getting water and supply for water for fires breaking out, gas lines breaking. So the fire department is really going to be our first thing is putting out the fires, making sure there's water for the fire to put out. We may have to get supplies from like lakes from the ocean, different water supplies like that if our water lines are closed. Okay? So basically, everybody, there's called like critical facilities in each area for this fire department, and then be schools, hospitals, high density places that there's a lot of people that have a lot of, that maybe a lot of injuries in, stuff like that. So that's one of the first things we do. And we have a disaster plan here. It's a whole book that we put together, the city put together, and each station has certain critical facilities they have to go look at and monitor. And we just got through doing ours actually last week. And so we do is we go out and look at the critical facilities, see if they're still intact, how many people are there, what they are. So if there's an emergency, we know where to go first to look for stuff. Critical facilities can also be stores that have food, water, that they may not be able to get any from anywhere after for a while. So there's a lot of things that take part in this earthquake. You may think it's just simple, but there's a lot of facets that we have to think about. Okay? So that's basically the fire department. They're going to go out and they're going to go to those facilities first, make sure everything's okay. We're going to be hitting quite a lot of fires, doing rescues. And that's why NERD and your involvement and community involvement is so important. Because we're going to be so busy putting out fires, dealing with people that are hurt, emergencies, taking people to hospital, that all the other communication stuff that we can't get to one place or lines down is so important that NERD and the people in the community help out to be our eyes, our ears, runners for information back and forth. You know, so it's a good thing to do. What we do here, there's how many firehouses do you know that are NERD, that they go for NERD?
The 9 battalions.
9 battalions. Each battalion house has a NERD. So then what they'll do is they come here, there's a head first, I believe, it's so explained to you. We have a box where they can have all the radios. There's a lot of ham radio operators who will help out too, because that's the only way we're going to be communicating sometimes. Our radio system may go down, maybe something will happen to our dispatch center. We may not be able to communicate out of our dispatch center. So the operators, there's a lot of ham radio operators that belong to NERD, and they'll actually they'll set up their system. I think they do a park, you can explain all that to where they set it up at. And they set up the dispatch and they'll do our communication for us. We'll have somebody here with the battalion chief with the ham radio and they'll operate and they'll send runners for information. So we may not be able to do it by our radio. So there's a lot of things that the NERC is going to help us out with and we're not going to be able to do. The reason is manpower. We only have 200 people working each day, so we're going to be short-handed. Being able to do recalls out people from their homes. A lot of people live out of the city now. So one of the big problems of having everybody come back in and helping us is bridges may be down, you know, they can't get across, maybe a freeway's falling like they did in Oakland, right? When the earthquake happened, the freeway was collapsed. So there's a lot of different facets of it that actually hinder our operation as far as getting help here to do a full-scale rescue operation within our farm. So don't think you guys can't do anything. It's good. There's a lot of stuff shows money through the road operating filters to explain to you all the things that you guys can do too. So here at the firehouse, you actually won't be coming here. Nobody will be coming from here except for, I believe, the person from there. Not everybody shows up here, right?
Right, the team shows up at the staging area and gets the command kit and brings it to the staging area.
Yeah, so somebody will come here, get the command kit, go to the staging area. Nobody really comes to the firehouse, just from one person, and then to the staging area. And everybody that goes to certain meetings, they explain that to them, and they'll tell them where to meet, and what they're supposed to do. And they'll explain that to them, everybody will get a job. So for here, in our main thing, like I said, is the engine will go out, and the first responders will be putting out fire. The truck is going to be doing any rescue operations that there are. There's people trapped in buildings and stuff like that. So that's basically what we're going to be doing. We're going to be so busy with that, rescue operations, medical, putting out fire, that anything else as far as communication, what's down, bridges, any of the areas in here that the gas lines broke, homes that were in communities where a lot of gas lines are breaking, NERC will be helping shut off homes. They have gas shut off, they have water shut off, they're going to that. So it's a big part of it. And you can actually save a lot by shutting off the gas. You guys, like San Bruno, I live right where San Bruno explosion was. A lot of homes had I have mine, so we're actually shut off the gas line. A lot of gas lines broke over there. And that's what caused a lot of parts of it. And it's moving out. So people actually came through from NERC to shut off the gas lines. Surrounding the area, as the through the fire spread in there, you're going to have less of an effect on the homes, and you're going to save some homes lives. So it's all very helpful. So it's good. Now, the one thing you guys are doing, I'm not sure what you're doing, but I think this is we're trying to build something to help out with the earthquake or something like that. And I'm not engineer minded or not, but I know sometimes we have collapses and we have like when we had the regular collapse and stuff for us, we get into tight spots and look for people that may be trapped in little sometimes it's concrete or either concrete or wood or stuff like building collapses that we may not be able to get into, but somebody may have enough room where they're alive and living and they can't get to find out. So like they have now like for the bomb, for the police department, they have a little bomb machine that can send it. It's about this big, like this, and it's a robotics. And it goes in, it's got a camera on it. And they can search in and they can pick up a bomb unit, a piece that looks like a bomb, and they can take it out with the machines and nobody can harm. So anything that you guys can design that maybe go to small areas and you can put a little a camera on or something like that, things like that. We'll be able to hear it like that. The person can't get into the log. That's important.
Actually, just to clarify, we won't be building robots. We have to come up with an idea on how to improve the situation for people, whatever. The robots we're building will not be doing it for the same people.
Oh, what do you guys do exactly?
We have to do it either an engineering idea that either helps buildings not collapse, or helps people after they collapse, or helps rebuild after an earthquake, or it could be a process, some kind of idea for how to handle situations, but some kind of engineering or science concept or device.
Our robots are built out of Legos.
The robotics.
Still an appropriate
The robotics part is a
But-
separate contest within this overall.
But you can actually build a Lego robot and you can say, hey, this would be a great little invention to go in and if it's a tight area, you can do it, and then you can go in and I mean, I went to Lego land, there's tons of shit you can do with Lego, but there is a lot of things you can build with Lego. So, I mean, that's just one of them, you know. There's a guy that invented for our water supply system named Blackburn. He invented these water systems, like four-way water systems that can pump water all over and they're compressed so we can get water everywhere. So there's a lot of things you guys can design.
So what do you guys see as your biggest challenge? There must be some things that you know about that you don't know what the solution is right now, that you could see some horrible event happening after an earthquake. What?
Well, like, one of the things that I do think that is collapses. One of the biggest things going into collapse zones, the buildings that are collapsed with fire burning and stuff like that. So, I mean, that's one of the most unsafe areas we can go into. When the building collapses, having the structural engineers come out and making sure it's safe to go in. And that's why I think one of those robot things would be the best to go in for. Yes?
Yes, well, it's a kind of personal, but I live in like a old building, and I'm wondering when the earthquake happens, should I go down and then try to get out, or should I stay put in my apartment?
Well, they tell you should either get underneath some really strong like a doorway frame or underneath a table or something like that. Or if you have, I don't know how many people around here actually have a cellar. But I mean, I guess you could get a cellar if it's concrete or not. One of the things you might want to think about too, a lot of buildings aren't shear wall. And one of the things they do now for safety for earthquake is they do shear walls. They can come up with some kind of design for buildings or some kind of Lego thing that's a support for the structures on the sidewalls of the building. Because they're weak, they're not so built. The foundation, the old foundation, are built with bolts in them, only a couple bolts holding on to a stud that comes through like there's a piece of wood that goes like this. They drill a hole with a bolt, and that's all they do is wood. So all the sides are just stucco, so they're just loose. So now what they do, and there might be a better way you guys can design something, is they take like plywood, and here's your wall. They'll put plywood in here, and they do a shear wall wall, so it makes it a little stronger. So if you guys can design maybe like some kind of post with your things, or like a square that can hold up in between the frames to help so the buildings don't collapse. Something like that, something that can give structure to a building that isn't already up to code for earthquake standards. If you guys can design something like that for the structure of the building so it doesn't fall. That would be underneath like in the footing area and stuff like that. Or they absolutely do on second story walls too, but something like that. That's basically where I think our problems lie. The other thing is like in earthquakes we have a lot of infirm areas that are on soft land, like down to Marina, that's Filner, Foster City has a ton of it. So you're going to get a lot of movement and stuff like that too, and you're going to get broken pipes. So maybe, but that's beyond your scope, how you can get some pipes that are maybe a little more flexible and stuff like that, so when the current moves a little bit, we don't have cracking of the old pipes and stuff like that. So there's a lot of things you can brainstorm and try to figure out.
What about fire department operations? Are there tools that you guys wish you had? Things that you thought about?
Earthquakes? Not really. We have a rescue squad that actually now they have a lot of hydraulic stuff for like we do them if we have a collapse zone. They're pretty quick now. They're put together. They come right out. They're expandable, so they're real quick. As far as I can't think of anything. Anybody? You guys think of anything you might need for a fire department as far as like an earthquake? As far as equipment? I mean, we're pretty.
Well, no, but I mean, some ideas that the captain's already touched on are that communications is going to be an issue for us. So innovative ways to get messages between a battalion station and, say, the other stations that are in that geographical area. How are we carrying those messages if we have a communications failure? I mean, those are sort of a gap, if you will, that we might have. It's not necessarily a tool, and I'm not quite sure how you build that with a Lego.
It doesn't have to be built with a Lego.
Oh,
You
okay.
get the Lego thing.
Okay.
Just clarify for a second. The challenge is kind of three parts, but one of them that we go to, one of it's choose a natural disaster of any type. We have to be in California, so I think we chose earthquakes.
Okay.
But it could have been a tsunami, it could have been a flood, it could have been anything. Try to come up with an idea, not necessarily that you have to manifest it, an idea that would help that community improve their situation in the event of such a disaster. So it could be getting water to people.
Our biggest thing I think we're going to find is getting information from one place to the other if we lose our communications. That's huge, because that's the only way we're going to know if there's an area that's in more need of something. How are we going to get the equipment over there? How are we going to get the tools over this area that's really been damaged in the earthquake compared to us if there's a bridge out or the freeways out, and then communicating. If we lose our communications system, that's our major concern actually.
What do you use now? I mean, obviously the phone lines might be down.
Phone lines, and they have ham radios set up.
So the NERC teams are established to have auxiliary communications by AM radio, but a band can be overstretched if 5 people are trying to call on the same channel at the same time. So we use runners. But again, if there were a system to help the runners get those messages to their location, that could be one thing. And then our system, if it's working, is an 800 megahertz citywide radio system. So if our communication doesn't fail, then we have our radio system.
Different radio systems, line of sight, and there's 800 megahertz, which can go anywhere.
And then another thing that's not what specifically of service to the fire department, but would be of service to your neighbors, is if every block had a map of their block and who lives on that block, so that they could, come out and check on, and who goes on vacation, things like that could be on the map, so we know we're not looking for that person today because they're on vacation, or so-and-so has a caregiver that comes every day and then does all the shopping and that sort of thing. So that's not necessarily something that the fire department needs, but it's something that people who live in earthquake country need.
Even pets, things like that.
Right.
National needs like oxygen.
So that's one of the things about urban in your neighborhood.
Like an internet application that would let everybody in the neighborhood log in their information, would that be something beneficial? And then it downloaded into a spreadsheet that you can keep once a week?
Well, even if you guys, I know they have the neighborhood nerds for each of the neighborhoods, and I think if you're in your neighborhood and you all go to the meeting, it's important for all you and your neighbors that if you know the people that are actually invalids in your neighborhood that actually can't get out and you need to go check on to help them get out, you're doing this because you care about your neighborhood. If you're a nerd, you care about the people around you and what's going to happen in your community. So if you're going to do that, it's good to get an information of all your neighbors and try to get everybody involved that who can't get out of their homes, who's not going to be able to help themselves out, who's going to need to get food to them when they're hurt. Or, if they're just locked in their house and they can't get out anymore, there's no way to get to them, no communications. So something like that, if you're in the neighborhood, get a list together, because I think, don't they have individual meetings for each neighborhood, right, for nerds?
Most of the neighborhoods do, but again, it's volunteer-led.
Yeah, if they do, try to get that together, say, let's try to find out who the older people are in our neighborhood, if anybody knows anybody, to get a list together. And then when that happens, you guys meet, you say, hey, what areas, you're going to actually go out and look and see what areas are hurt the worst, and then know what people and what areas of that thing are your critical facility areas, if you need to get food, if you need to get water to people. You may be locked in a little area for a while, if there's a bridge out or a freeway out, or let's say a block collapses because of the earthquake, or you got a house in pancake. So the more information you can get as a group as far as nerds, people that need the help, that are invalids, where the food and water may be the best location to get food and water for people that aren't going to get it. If all your water pipes are broken, nobody's going to have water. One thing they tell you too is to fill up your bath. If you know you're going to be out and the water's starting and people are having broken lines, fill up your bathtubs with water so you have extra water to help out, later. Because it may not be broken now, but if the second earthquake comes or something, or afterwards, a secondary earthquake, something else can happen. So you should be prepared. A lot of people actually store water in their homes. I know my cousins, everything, they just bought 55-gallon drums and they're storing them in their backyards on the side of the buildings just in case, right? Have some canned foods available, just stuff so you can be aware of batteries, flashlights, all that stuff in your house is really important to have. One of the things I stress is having gas shutoffs. They're simple. They're a little piece of tubing like this, and you can shut off the gases in your house. That's a major thing for me, I think so. Those are things that you can do to help in your community.
If you're making an application, one thing that people are concerned about is now their private information is online. So you have to consider people's security and then who has access to the spreadsheet that you're referring to. So it's just I'm not poo-pooing an app, but it's just a consideration is how would that app be shared if you logged in, and where would that information go? So the fire department itself would not gather that information on everybody. That's too big brother for people. But block by block for people to have that for each other, that's kind of alludes to what Jade was talking about earlier about if you are on your own, what do you have there?
Another question I have is, if there is a water problem, for how long do you believe the water problem will consist? Like people would not have water for a week, you need a solution for like a week, for a month, like how?
It could be longer, it depends on how big the earthquake is and what pipes are broken.
So the recommendation is that you have up to 5 days of water stored, and not everybody has enough space in their apartment or condominium if they have many people living there, so space is always an issue. One of the ways that the city is going to talk to people is through a text messaging system, which is alertsf.org. So finding a way to get more people signed up for that, like a campaign that gets more people signed up to receive these text messages from the city, because that's going to give people information like where a water distribution site is set up.
So that's something you guys could actually work on right there, what she just said. Once you let the kids get, she said we're trying to get communications to a lot of different people, and you guys can set up a way maybe to help get that out.
It's called alertsf.org, and it could be just a campaign citywide that gets everyone that has a text-enabled device signed up for that program.
So you guys can make flyers and try to get people more involved and get their information and stuff like that. So.
And then while you're at it, tell them about NERD too, because every day I meet people that never heard of NERD. So if you're doing advertising, we'd like some free advertising. Yeah, free training from the fire department is very helpful, and a lot of people don't know that they have access to free training by the fire department. So that's another thing.
And I don't know, does NERD give them, if you join NERD and you're a part of NERD, do they give you shut-offs, gas shut-offs? What do they give a NERD person?
They give a NERD person personal safety equipment, a helmet, a vest, and gloves, and then we demonstrate what it is that you can use at very low cost to shut off the gas. And then we have a gas shut-off demo so that everybody has a chance to use it, so you know what it feels like, and you can go home and find it at your own house and go see. So another thing is that on the Pacific Gas and Electric website, they have a page that shows about gas shut-off, so that could be a project as well, that you come up with an application that shows people how to shut off the gas. But as important, if you're showing people to shut off the gas, is to tell them when to shut off the gas, so they don't just automatically do it, because then there'll be a week, 5, 10 days without gas, because only PG&E can reactivate the gas. So if you get into a subject like that, you have to be very careful about making sure you give people enough, not just an itty-bitty bit of information, but the complete information they need if they're shutting off the gas.
So you're not talking about the house shut-off, you're talking about the street shut-off.
I'm talking about the house shut-off.
But the house shut, you have a valve in your house that you can, in your...
Many people don't know how to use that valve.
You're talking about
Many
behind
people don't
your
know that they
stove.
have it.
No, I'm talking next to the meter,
Right,
next to
yes,
the gas
valve.
meter.
Many
That's what
people
we're
don't
talking
know
about.
how to use that, or many people don't know where it is.
But that is not 5, I mean, you can open it after you close
No,
that
once you
one.
shut
No,
that
you
down,
cannot.
you cannot, your gas is off, PG&E has to come back and open it up.
See, I agree.
Because your gas pilot light will go off, and you'll have gas just flowing in your house, which is a big danger.
And so you don't know if maybe there are a gap or a leak that you're unaware of, so when you reactivate it, it can have gas buildup and then cause an
And
explosion.
especially if it's an earthquake and you shut your gas off and you think it's okay to shut it off. What if your house shook and like she said, there's a pipe that actually broke and got loose and leaked, and you think it's okay, you go shut it on, and you go to light your pilot light pop in. So it's better not to do it on your own, for sure.
And we also don't do it, so you're not going to have firefighters coming around reactivating gas. That is a function of the gas responders.
How about you kids? You guys got any questions about what you should do during an earthquake, or what you guys can do, or anybody have any ideas yet of what you think you might want to do to help out?
Go ahead.
Is there any other cause of fire rather than gasoline or fuel?
As far as fire starting,
Yes.
explosions,
Cigarettes.
anything, yeah.
Food left on the stove unattended.
Chemicals start fires. It could be a chemical spill, it could start a fire. Anything. A lot of stuff.
So anything that can be involved with fire can actually cause an explosion or anything dangerous.
So what sort of happens like right after an earthquake like once everything's said and done, but to start like the rebuilding effort and housing people, how does that all get organized and stuff?
The city itself, big picture city has a department that coordinates those kind of efforts, and every department has a role. So we're like spokes coming out of this coordinating body. So the heads of all these departments go meet and see what the need is, and then they start doing what they do. So the fire department starts doing rescue and putting out fires, and the health department starts activating not only the hospitals, but if they need to set up like hospitals on the side in big tents. And Human Services is the agency that works with the Red Cross to figure out where buildings are safe to open up a shelter and then coordinate water distribution and feeding of people. And the police department helps with well-being checks and keeping order after something happens. And Public Works works, and PUC works on restoring water services and that sort of thing. And so every department goes into their own area, and then they all talk about it at this one location at Department of Emergency Management at 1011 Church Street. Does that answer your question?
And what they'll do is they'll look at the most critical things they have to do first, and they'll go from there. Like anything you go to, you have to go for the major concerns first, and they'll go for the justice. Those they'll go to look at those first and take care of that first.
I was wondering if we can talk a little bit. Now we're talking about the reaction immediately after. It's not so much the rebuild, it's how we contain whatever problems are immediate. But I think we would also want to get some information after you're out of the earthquake situation. There's no more fires. There's just a lot of ruined property, ruined water pumps. What is the systems that you have in place for the rebuild? Like, how do you know who needs what broke in each house? How do you have any platform that people put their, my house broke,
So
my
the
water
question
pumps
is, like,
broke.
how would one report if their house were crushed? And I don't think that we're going to be able to answer that question. Remember, we're one of the spokes, and Department of Building Inspection is also one of the spokes. And so they're the ones that are enforcing code and doing, bringing in tons of volunteer engineers to make sure that a building is safe to inhabit or not safe to inhabit. So the answer is that will be happening, but I don't know if we're the right people to direct that specific question to. And I don't know what kind of database or entry system they have for how to say pick me. I do know that through sheltering and that sort of thing, all that information that needs to get, if it ends up in this department and it needs to get to that department, it will trickle up to that coordinating center at the Department of Emergency Management and then filtered to the department that it needs to go to.
And actually, that's where NERC can really help out too. If you have an actual area that you know is really damaged severely, and you know it and we don't know about it yet, and we're uninformed, if you have a runner from your NERC coming over to tell us, you're going to get a little more people out there faster and quicker to see what's happening, ascertain what's going on. And then if it is a building structure that's going to collapse, we have the building engineers come out so you don't go into it, or we can actually we can shore it up to help people go in. So that's why NERC's important too, because we're going to find out a lot. You guys are going to show us a lot of places that we don't know about that are damaged, and it may be something we have to go look at. They may say no, we can't go over there right now too. But we're going to actually go to the more dense populated areas and see what's going on. But if we get information from somebody that there's buildings that are collapsed and there may be people inside, and that's what we can't get to, that's what NERC's about. Neighborhoods communicating with each other, actually sending that information, vital information that we can't get. If we can't get there, we don't have enough people to go around every place and look, obviously. That if you can communicate that to the head NERC person, they're going to get it on their ham radio or on the 800 megahertz radios we have. Let us know where that area is, and if we can, we'll send somebody out there to look, and if it's something we have to send more people to, we will. But they're going to do it on a base-by-base thing. They're going to look at each individual circumstance, and you may not get anybody out there depending on how the severity of your thing is, depending on how big the situation is, you know what I mean? So I can't say yes to one thing like she said or no to something, because it's going to be based on how big the situation is and what your problems at the time. So that's why it's really important everybody steps up and really helps out. And the more eyes and ears and the more communication you have from the community on what's going on, the better it is for the fire department and the city as a whole.
I mean, just kind of from a personal standpoint, from having been involved in training people in the preparedness aspect, I'm a really big advocate for doing what you can so that you can stay at home. Because mass sheltering is going to be a mess. And so if there's any way that you can put yourself in a situation to avoid having to be in a mass shelter, and you're going to shelter at home without running water, then you're a lot better off. So having things like running water move you out of your house because you weren't prepared for it is a really big problem. Where you can live in your house like you're camping for a week without electricity if you've taken steps to prepare for that.
It's amazing to me actually how unprepared and uninformed it seems the citizenry of the city is, and I include myself in that, in terms of what to do. It seems like we all have fire extinguishers because we know there's a very good possibility one time there'll be a fire. But there's a very, very good possibility that there's going to be an earthquake, and yet we don't seem to have a consistent, any kind of message yet. There's all kinds of disparate ideas coming from different departments, and there doesn't seem to be kind of a, you know, when all the forest fires used to happen, they had Smokey the Bear, and everybody kind of got on behind that campaign and understood that there doesn't seem to be anything sort of simple that here's the 5 steps every household should be ready for.
Well, they're actually
Well, it's
addressing
very
that.
simple.
Yeah, they're
It's
actually
if you get a kid, make a plan, get informed. That is, it is that
How many people
simple.
actually do it?
But I'm saying we have this simple campaign, so those 3 things, I mean, you can repeat those 3 things to people, and then you're, you know, it's like the telephone, tell a friend.
And that's where the
that is
community comes in,
That
you
is
people.
the 3 simple steps.
Yeah. So if you're
and
involved-
all the departments say that, and the Red Cross, I think, gave us that little thing to say, but it is that simple. Get a kit, make a plan, be informed.
And spread the word. You guys are going to be in touch with your neighbors more than we'll ever be. So we can only, and the NERD's only so big, and they can only do so much. It's up to you guys to make sure your neighborhood is well informed also. So join NERD. Have other people in your neighborhood explain to them what NERD is. Tell them what you planted. Tell them to get a first aid kit, to have some water on hand, some food on hand. Have a plan on how to stay and what to do if you have to leave your house and where to go, where everybody should meet in your neighborhood. This is things that you guys as a community in your neighborhood can get together. So if you guys all join NERD and you spread that word, you're going to be well more informed, and your neighborhood's going to, when a disaster comes, you're going to be able to help everybody out better than anybody else is. So we can only do so much.
I have another challenge, and my other challenge is this, is that be prepared that when you talk to people about NERD or making a plan or whatever, that they won't do it. Be prepared for that, and don't give a hoot because A, you told them, and B, you have somebody else to tell. So just tell everybody, because then it is there where they have to take some personal responsibility, but I'm much more concerned with the people you say just didn't get the message. Like nobody told them. Nobody told them they could get free training from the fire department. Nobody told them they should have a supply. So that's my concern, is that we just make sure we told everybody. So that would be my challenge. Jade, and then...
Alright, so earlier you were talking about to not turn off the gas and stuff, and I totally understand that. Couldn't you turn it back on if you lit the pilot light directly after?
The question is, could you turn back on the gas if you turn it off? And I'm just going to say no.
And why not? Why do you think? What did we just say? Why not? What could happen?
Well, yeah, because the pilot light, because when you
It's
turn
not
off
just a pilot light. What if your house shook and one of your pipes are going a little loose and it broke? Or you got a leak in one of your pipes now. And you may like that pilot light, that could be leaking over here, filling the room with gas. When that gets heated up, boom. And then we got an issue. So, don't do it.
in my neighborhood, there's at least 2 shelters for like homeless people and more people living out on the streets. And not many of them are going to be older, especially people out on the street are not going to really know much about earthquake safety and stuff like that. And it'd be pretty hard.
It is hard to get the word to people that are homeless, but on one hand, in my observation, they're going to be better off than most of us that are used to being comfortable because they are resourceful and have practiced getting what they need to get by. So that's the one hand. But then on the other hand, they can be more vulnerable if the place where they usually go to get services doesn't keep providing those services. So at that hub where everybody talks, the service providers also have a seat at the table to kind of shore up their ability to keep providing services.
I just want to say from our own family NERD training a few years ago, the thing I remember most is don't be a victim. So you yourself, your first job is to make sure you're not getting hurt and you're prepared. And we were talking at our team and showing them where our kid is and so forth. And most of the kids in our team don't have preparation at home either. So that's really the first step. Go home and talk to your parents and have a plan and make sure you have a place to store all these things.
It's just not an earthquake. How many people here have actually really sat down with their parents and talked about if there's a fire, just a fire, not even an earthquake. If there's a fire, this is telling me how prepared you are for the earthquake. If there's a fire in your house, how many people know where you're going to meet when you leave your house? Does everybody know when they leave their house where you're going to meet your family? Raise your hand. See, that's one of the first things you do when you go
Step
home.
one.
Say, we need to have a plan. If there's a fire or there's an emergency, when we leave our house, what windows are you going to go out? What doors are you going to go out? If I'm on the 3rd floor, do I have a ladder to get down? One of those droppable ladders to get out of my building if I can't get down the stairs, if they're collapsed? These are things you need to talk to your parents, your guardians, or your care providers on what you're going to do to get out of that building if you have to. Like she said, if you can stay there, no problem, stay there. But if you actually need to get out of your building, you need to have a plan, and not just a plan to get out, where to meet, so when you all get out, you know that everybody's okay. Because you may get out, everybody say, okay, we're all going to go out this door, this door, this door, and nobody meets up. How do you know you didn't leave somebody in that house? So you need to know where to meet, a facility away from your area, like a corner place, or a gas station, or a grocery store, across the street at a corner, but just some place where you all meet up so you know everybody is safe. So if we're not even doing that little bit, then we're not even prepared for her. You need to start with the basics of your own house and how to get out of your house and what to do.
Well, yeah, I heard something like the best transportation we can have after the disaster.
I can hear you, I'm sorry, what?
So I heard something like the best transportation we can have after the disaster is a bicycle.
Bicycles are great.
Okay.
Bicycles are great. Yeah, because what if all the gas, even bicycles, you can get around no matter what with a bike, right? I mean, you just can't. Motorcycles, bikes, you can be a lot more efficient than a car when there's an earthquake, especially if stuff's down. Yeah, I agree. Bikes are great. We also have some information she's going to pass out, I think.
Yeah, make sure we get it all to you.
If there's an earthquake and you're standing over here, there's a garage door and it collapses, how are you going to get the fire trucks out?
That's a good question. We have actually roll-up doors too. So they do happen. They break sometimes and we can't get them up. So we actually have emergency roll-up. It takes a while because they're on such a small gear ratio.
It's a chain there.
See that chain? And there's a chain that we can just pull that chain. See with the little red box up there? And the chain that comes down? We actually can open it manually. So yeah, there's always a backup for us to get out. Trust me. Oh, you mean if the building collapses in front, we can't get out? Well, then we're not going to get out, and we're going to have another fire crew go wherever we're supposed to go. You know, so that's one of the things that we know that's something we can't control, and that's if that happens, and that's why we have runners that can go say, you know, when this firehouse is unavailable, we're not going to get the engines out. We're going to need other help from other firehouses that haven't been affected. So yeah, that's something that could happen, and that's beyond our control. That blocks the door and the building, in front of the building collapses, and we're not going to get out.
But just so you know, my husband are architects. The building codes for fire stations and hospitals and so forth are much stricter than they are for houses and other buildings, so they're built stronger to start with.
And then the other thing, so you know, then we'd be a priority for the Department of Public Works to come with their backhoe and shovel that dirt out of our way.
Anything else?
All right, so hopefully, innovators, we've heard enough of the challenge that we will come up with some three great plans for 3 great teams. Thank you for your time today.
Is that the only one to tell you the other information given or not?
Still show us around?
Yeah, what we'll do is I'll show you around the firehouse and what we have. I'll take you through our kitchen area and all that and show you. We all actually live here 24 hours. We start at 8 in the morning, we don't get off till the next morning. So we eat, sleep here, everything.
You guys sometimes
You can, yes. Sometimes if you have to work overtime, you can do 2 nights here. So I'll take you around real quick tour. I think our driver is going to let you shoot some water off the front of the hose if you want. Okay? So how many people, what is this called right here, this rig right here that we have out front? What is that?
Well, that's a fire engine.
Fire engine, right? What's a fire engine carry? Water, hoses, right? So that's going to put out the fire. So that carries all our water supply. It's got a water supply of its own, and then it also has to get a supply from a hydrant. But that's the engine. So that's what that's job is. People on there go to put the fire out. This is the fire truck. What's that carry on it? Ladder truck. Very good. So we actually ladder the buildings. We'll go in and do the rescue. They'll split their crews. Somebody will go on the roof. Some will go inside the bottom floor. So we can start search and rescue from the bottom if anybody's hurt. We go up to the floor, open up the roof so we can let the smoke and heat and gases out so nobody gets killed by gases and smoke. And then we come down and start doing search and rescue. So there's 2 different vehicles for 2 totally different jobs. But they work, it communicates, so we can open up and ventilate more. So everything's done in unison with each other, total different operations.
So I have two questions.
Yeah.
Since there's water and the fire engines, like if there's not a fire or any emergency for like a really long time,
Water doesn't go bad. And actually, we do drills all the time, so we're always pumping water, spraying water. We go to school drills, we do our own drills, we pump water, we go down and train at the tower, so we're always using the water. It never stays in there long, trust me.
The second question was, if there are like gases or smoke in a building and you need to get them out, open up the roof, what if they go out into the open?
That's better than you breathing them in. You're right, they will. They'll go out into the open. So let me ask you another question. If you got hot gases and smoke in your house, where's the best place for you to be? Awesome. On the floor, right? Get out, crawl out, get out. Okay? So you guys are old enough. If you guys leave, I'll just tell you real quick. If you're leaving your house and it's on fire and your dog was in there, your favorite toy or anything, are you going to run back in there? Never. But just get out. We can replace a dog. I hate to say it. You can replace a toy or something else like that, or your computer. But we can't replace you guys. Never go back into a burning building, ever. Fresh water. Actually, we don't run salt water through these unless it's an emergency because it will rack up and then we have to go back and flush them. But like when we had the fire down at the marina, we draft out of the bay. And it's a way to get water. We had no water down there, so we draft out of the bay and we use it. And then we have to flush it because the salt water corrodes all the stuff in the engine. But yeah, we can use it if it's an emergency. Prefer not to. In the bay? Oh, and then we draft. We'll draft from a bay, we can draft from swimming pools, we can draft from a lake. You know, a lot of the swimming pools, you guys don't know, they have hookups on the pools now outside, the SI and all that, and we can actually drain the water from the pools if we have to use. Some of them now have hookups outside where we can drain the pools. Yeah, you'd have to be by the area. You can't go like if it's across town, you can get water and shoot something over here. You have to have a water supply by the area you're fighting fire. But our hoses only go so far. Any other questions? All right, let's walk around. We'll walk this way, walk around and show you our workout area.
I'd just like everybody to remember this one thing. This is a truck, and that is an engine. So when you see the short pumpers driving around town, don't say fire truck.
Fire
engine. You see the long ones driving around, don't say fire engine. Say fire truck.
You'll think you're smart. You'll all think you're smart.
Okay, so this is a look but don't touch exercise. Follow the captain.
I'm gonna give these to you.
Breaking the rules.
Everybody come back here. We'll talk over here. We're actually cleaning it right now. We're actually cleaning it. You can all keep coming in. Come on in. All in.
Let's see how many things you can touch. I've done 3.
I touched the
one.
Alright, so here's our workout area, as you can tell. So it's important that when we're here all the time, everybody keeps in shape because we got to climb up ladders, we got to go in the village, we got to carry people out. When we work, it's very exhilarating. We put a lot of exertion out, and you have to be in pretty good physical shape. Otherwise, you're going to get tired and not be able to do your job. So we always have machinery here to work out on. We have a lot of treadmills, elliptical machines, and weights. So everybody trains every day, either an hour on a treadmill, they do some weight work or run or something. So every firehouse has a gym, okay? So this is our gym area here. Every firehouse sets it up different, but this is where we're on the main floor here. And then back in there, we have a laundry room back in there in one area. The other room is where we fill our air bottles up for when we go into a building, we don't walk into a building without our Scots and masks on. You've seen those, right? People put the Scots on, the SCBAs. So we have to fill those up every time we use them because the smoke will actually kill you. And that's it here. And we have a TV so we can watch it a little.
What is your call rate here and how often are you using
the truck is very busy. The truck has one of the biggest routes in the area here, so the truck's pretty busy. We get probably 8-10 calls a day with the truck out of here easily.
So it could happen while we're here.
Yeah, we just came back. We come back and we call right when you call. Yeah, so it does.
So if it does, what do we do? Get out of the way.
You will move and we'll leave.
Excuse me.
And,
What kind of incidents you have to go? I mean,
we do all medicals. We're the first responders on any medical call there is, for falls, for heart attacks, for shortness of breath. We do all that for anybody stabbing, shootings, fires, school alarm bells when they go off, when your alarm is off, for any kind of commercial building alarm. We're always first responders for all that.
Okay, you deploy all the like.
No, for like a commercial building alarm, they'll do 2 engines and a truck and a chief. So depending on severity of the alarm, like for a medical call, they'll just do 1 engine and a medic rig, an ambulance. Today, that big accident that happened with the car, there was a person got killed. They did 2 engines, a truck, 2 medic rigs, and a chief. So it depends on how big it was. A yellow alert, which it was, because there's people that actually got killed, they'll send in a couple more engines to help with the medical. So depending on the severity of the incident stuff is how many people will go. On a first alarm fire, there's 2 engines, a truck, a VC, rescue captain, and an ambulance. And we have to always keep things clean. We just had triennial here, which means we go through every 3 months and we just strip this house down. We do the floors, we polish, we clean. Every Saturday we clean all the ladders, make sure they're all up and painted and working, and make sure everything's working and we don't have any loose bolts or anything. Because these are actually save our lives. These are what goes on the roof. So we have peak roofs like this. You ever see peak roofs? So when we're on there climbing, we got to open the hole. We actually put these over the peak so it holds on, and then we hang off this and open the hole up there. So, and we're always safety conscious. We're always belted in. We got clips to clip into the ladder so we don't fall off the roof. So whenever we do anything, it's always safety first. Because if we're going to get hurt, we're not helping anybody else out if we fall off and get hurt. Okay. All right. So we'll walk in. One of the favorite places, the kitchen, where it all happens. So we'll go through the main room here. I'll explain what goes on over here. And what they are for is at night, if we get an alarm, instead of everybody trying to run down the stairs, we have our turnouts on. It takes us 2 seconds to get in our turnouts, and we can come down this pole in 3 seconds. Boom, 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 run right behind the other, we're on the rig. Instead of running all the way down the 3 flights of stairs. So this could take us 3 seconds instead of 40 seconds coming down, which could be a difference in somebody's life. So these are really handy. And they go all the way to the top floor. And they're fun. This rig here is our EMA rig. This goes out for wildlands, urban search and rescue vehicle. And we have, I think we just bought 5 more new ones of these. And they go out for the fire that's just in Yosemite. That's what these go to. They're green and they go out for the wildland fires, for mutual aid fires, and stuff like that. And that's why they're painted different color.
Why do we have one here?
Because it is restored. We got different fires that are taken up the floor. So we get deployed.
Miles here in the mountains.
200 miles that way.
No, I mean sliding on the
And we have to unload our stuff for here. It's different type of firefighting equipment, and then reload these rigs with all the equipment for the mutual aid for firefighting and forest fires. Now these are all loaded already with our tuck and roll lights, so we can always clamp them. Everything on here for fighting a fire and for forest is on here. So now we just take these, go down, and leave. It's a lot quicker. We have to spend some money to get them, but it's well worth it. Yes. This just came back from the rim fire just like 4 days ago. Yeah. So these are actually at the rim fire. Yeah. Huh? Well, if we just go upstairs and go down and get something and come back down, you can. I mean, sometimes if I want to, if I'm just coming down, I'll come down it. Is somebody up there? Who's up there? We'll send somebody down. Did he? So let's go in this room here. This is our communications room.
I actually know the dog. No, why?
So you guys hear that? You hear the dispatch right there? So this is our dispatch, this is our comm room, it's our dispatch area. So this is where all the communications come in here, and we were talking about out there, maybe this, if we have communications go down at our comm center, and they can't communicate with us over the radio like this, that's where that's where the nurse gonna come in handy with the ham radios, the runners and stuff like that. So that's why it's important that we have you guys help out with the fire department. But here's where all our calls come in. Those dispatch calls will come up on here. We'll get a tone over they'll go beep. It'll come over, and then they'll dispatch the call, what it is. Then we'll get a printout over here, which will actually tell us what the call is, where it's at, the location, what the call's about, so we know exactly what's going on before we go, so we can actually be prepared before we go, so we know what we're getting into. Okay, and that's important. The more information we can get on the call, the better it is for us, so we know what we're getting. All right. So that's what this is here.
You have an emergency generator, I assume?
We have an emergency generator that's actually being repaired right now outside. So we're in this house being accessed in the midst of being remodeled. So they're doing some work outside the generators and stuff, and that too. So.
Do you have access to building plans when you get to a fire? Is that somehow computerized?
For like high-rise buildings and stuff like that, the first people that go in, the first truck group goes. Actually, there's a where the panel is, it's in one of the communications at the high rise, right? Their box, they go to the control room. They'll have a building engineer there, which will have the plans to the building. The main thing we want to know about is exits and entrances, right? Egress areas, right? Where the alarm panels are, stuff like that. As far as room stuff, no. But we actually, for the exit, so we can do, we want to make sure one entrance is for going up and doing firefighting, and we keep one entrance for rescue. Because we don't want lines going up and people trying to come down one area. We want to keep them separated. So some of the building stuff we need to know about. But for a regular building like a house, no, that's why we do. We go out, we do a lot of inspections too. First alarm area, you should know all your buildings, what they're like, what the layout of the buildings are. So we're always going into like apartment buildings and doing it's called an R1 inspection. We go in and look what the building is, make sure they're up to date on all their fire extinguishers, that their alarm panels are up to date. Then we actually take a look at how it's structured, so we know where the exits are. So if we get a fire, we know which way the best way to enter from in the buildings. So it's really important that we go out and take care and look at all the buildings in our area. So when you get there, you're not just saying, what do we have here? We actually have some kind of idea what we're getting into. If we go in this building, there's a fire here, we know there's an exit out the back we get out of it. So the more we know about that building, the better it is for us and the people we go into. So everybody goes and does that. For homes, we can't go to your house and go look at your house. But basically, all these are the same. If you know what one house is, you know what most of them are around here. So this is a pool table, very old pool table from the 1800s actually.
That's why it's cool. That's why the top is so.
So this is where we all get our communication in the morning. We all meet here. We go over who's doing what responsibilities on the engine, who's responsible for the truck. We have a driver, tiller, EMT, paramedics. So we go over what the day schedule is, what we're going to do, what everybody's responsibility is, what their responsibility is if we go to fire, who's going to open the doors, who's going to be on the line, who's going to be backup. So there's a lot of things we talk about in the morning before we go. We discuss about any drills we're going to have. We just had a school drill today, so we go out and we discuss our day's events and stuff like that. Right now we're working on we're doing a lot of stuff around here too. So we just built this here, and a lot of the firefighters are very capable. So we did this all ourselves. We're building a waterfall outside right now, and yeah, you guys want to see it?
Yes.
Come on. Real quick, and then we'll go back in the kitchen. So here's our head carpenter right here who built all those desks in there. So this we just finished. Actually, we could probably turn it on, huh? All right, real quick, we'll give you I don't want to run too long, because I just put some stuff in here. So we'll show you real fast. Then we'll shut it off. So actually, we're going to have a sign coming out here with our logo on it, and then we'll have plants in here and everything. That actually, we got to turn that a little more to the wall. See how it's coming down? Yeah. Trust me, too. I don't want to go too much, because we got the side still open. So we're just fine tuning this. This isn't finished yet. We just started. So this is where we park. So all our cars get parked out here. This is so we can have some tranquil, peaceful time after all the stress we feel. Huh?
Emergency water supply.
That's our emergency water supply right there. Exactly. Yeah.
Right, it'll take like an hour just for. And I'll put mission
How was
stop
it?
on
How was
it.
Yeah.
Take
your time till you're almost done. Nice job. Well, we'll go inside to the kitchen and then we'll go out. We'll let you guys break. Oh, that's pretty big. That's probably that's our TV room. Yes, it's got all those little chairs in there.
Engine.
Let's go. Let's go.
The show is 10 minutes long.
You guys want to try it? No? Okay.
Coming. Hey, think about what you're going to do. Spend some time on it, because it actually could be something we may be able to use in the future. So don't disregard anything. Think of and mill it around with each other. Talk about something you think we might be able to come up with and use. Whether it's, like she said, getting a flyer out there to get more people involved, get them communicate, whatever it is. Any little thing may be something we may use in the future that you guys come up with. So think about it.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Have a pleasure coming. Now everybody go home, help your parents clean the house.